to Art Lounge Alley. This is Figure Drawing Basics Part 46, as you guys can see. I am your host. I will be jumping into the stream in just a second. But first, whoops, where is the Patreon page? Shouldn't be popping up. There you go. Just gonna do a little adjustment here. So this is it, y'all. It's gonna be a quick one. I'm gonna just go over all the 6 tiers so that I could jump into the stream. Tier 1, official patron for $2 per month. Pretty affordable, and you get your patron name listed in the credits at the end of the stream as a way to say thank you for keeping the stream going and supporting the Art Lounge Alley. Then we got Tier 2, all access patrons, $5 per month. Early access to finished pages and exclusive content is the perk for this tier. Then we got Tier 3, which is the critique submissions tier. So if you're doing some work, you need some perspective, you want some guiding hand to show you where you can improve, this tier is for that. Next we got Kickstarter patron for $25 per month, and you could only pledge once. It doesn't have to be repeating. You can just cancel at the end of the month. You get a high resolution digital painting of you. Now for all these tiers, I recommend you guys visit the Patreon page and read through them. There's some requirements on there. There's some info you'd want to read through. You can find it in the Patreon, the Twitch channel. In the About section, it's listed with other social media platforms. So yeah, take your time, read through them, see which tier is more interesting for you. Now, so going on to the next tier, Tier 4, artist promotion tier. This is an opportunity for intermediate or advanced artists to be part of the live stream, the Art Lounge Alley live stream. I'll be promoting your work. You'll get 5-minute airtime where you can, I'll be playing your 5-minute video that you submit for this tier. Cancel anytime. It could be a one-time submission. It's an opportunity to create a community, introduce people to your artwork, and funnel everybody from all the different social media platforms to your website or social media. Next we got, and the last one is Tier 5. It is the private tutoring. Pretty self-explanatory. 15 spots open. You get 4 personal videos per month and a PSD file showing you where you can improve on the drawing that you submit. And this is open to all skill levels. So even if you're a beginner, you're just starting out, all the way up to advanced, and you guys have an opportunity to join this tier. Plus, along with the PSD file and the 4 personal video lessons per month, you get an exclusive Discord channel dedicated just for you. So all the 15 members who will be pledging to this tier, you guys will have your own channel where it could be a one-on-one between me and you. And you could leave me comments, you could leave me questions, and your progress of the work that you're currently doing. So that pretty much sums it up, y'all. I'm probably going to be doing a more extensive one some point in the future, either end of this week or at the beginning of next week. So you guys can always check that out. You could also check out the video collection in the Twitch channel. In the video collection, there is a section called highlights, and you could click on that and you could see a video posted as Patreon page launch and schedule change. And over there, I go into detail about every single tier and talk about all the perks that you get for each one of them. All right, y'all, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to jump into drawing today. Right after I bring up chat. So this is where I left off yesterday. I was trying to fill up space as much as possible, and also just collided all the different figures together, drew over some stuff, just for the fun of it, you know, not being too precious about each page. At the moment, this is a sketchbook, this is what it's meant for, and just to demonstrate for you guys that it's okay to do that. It's not a big deal. You could schedule over, use up as much space as possible, and get your eye used to actually colliding figures, objects, subjects, whatever it is on a page with each other. You know, not try to be too exclusive whenever you draw something. It helps in multiple ways. It helps you being more comfortable with your work and not being so rigid about it. You know, in ways when you're, for instance, drawing panels out, or when you're drawing figures out, you're going to have to create some figures in the foreground, other ones in the background. So it's good practice to be able to do that. And this kind of demonstrates it. You could see it even between these two figures that I drew out and penciled as a way to show that, you know, there's going to be a lot of overlapping. There's going to be a lot of foreground, background play, with this foot being over this one, with this arm being over the foot that's over the foot, or with this foot being over the leg, this leg being over the head, etc., etc., and even around as well, like this leg being under this foot. Just having all these kind of how would I say it, overlapping scenarios. But I will be continuing. Just want to make sure I really did cover up as much as possible. So there's a part of me that wants to do some inking today, as opposed to doing more drawing, figure drawing. So once I am done with all these pages, which is coming very close, I'm going to start a new subject. So the past few days I've been doing, last week I've been doing more head studies, drawing the head in different angles, showing you guys the importance of drawing guidelines as opposed to just doing it freehand, and really paying attention to like game-changing details. For example, the distance between the nostril and the eyes. You know, you don't want to make it too wide of a gap. You really want to make sure that that gap is relatively short. Not too short, because that's also the opposite extreme and it's going to look weird as well, but this just kind of demonstrates. And you could kind of see it here, where underneath is the shadow of the eyes that were too close to the nostrils, and how kind of strange that looked. So just moved it up a little bit more and found that middle ground. Not too high, not too low, just right. Demonstrating how a face could look young depending on how much detail you want to give the chin area. Do you want to keep it a little bit more on the smoother side, which kind of gives the face more of a teenage look. And then once you start to add a little bit more jawline, it gives it more of a mature feel. Now, of course, that varies. There are a lot of adults who don't have this sort of jawline. So it's kind of just fine-tuning those things and playing around with them. And the best way you could really recognize all this detail is from, you guessed it, drawing from life. Drawing from photographs that you pick, or yeah, you know, just studying all that to see the difference between all the different figures and face features that you've drawn, and just compare. And little by little, you start to notice these little things, and how important they are, and how big of a role they play in showing different, or rather transforming the face into a different looking face. Let's see here. So there is this area, and I've skipped it, or I just haven't gotten to it. And I think it's the latter. Just haven't gotten to it yet. Now, just a quick review here, because I will be getting to this. This just demonstrates, it's an excellent page to demonstrate the process of starting out drawing very basic shapes for the entire figure. And then in this step, you could see how all those parts that are divided, you could see how that they're divided, that they're connected and given more definition to. On top of it, this is drawn a little bit harder so that you guys can see it. But generally you would want to start out drawing it pretty light so that when you get to the next step of connecting all the different features and giving them more shape, these lines won't be there as present as they are shown here. And then from here you could also see, this is mainly just to demonstrate the reality of things, like why do we have these shapes? Why are they a certain way? And by having that and having more of an in-depth understanding all the different stages, all the different processes of the human figure, it gives you a more defined grasp of it all. Yeah, it's just like anything else. If you read something once, less likely you'll retain it in full detail. But if you do it 3 times, if you do it 4 times, if you kind of vary things a little bit, you vary the tone or add the emphasis on certain words, despite reading the same sentence or paragraph or whatever, you tend to remember it more. So this is the same idea. You're drawing it 3 different ways, studying the details inside of it, and really the whole goal of it is to just get a better understanding of the human figure. You're not going to be drawing the bones like that all the time when you draw, but it's just, again, it's like, as I mentioned, it's like varying the tone in the sentence that you read, giving words more emphasis in the same sentence that you read. So this is kind of the same idea. You're throwing something new into the mix of something that you're doing over and over and over again to just make the process of repeating it over and over again more interesting, more captivating. Third time around, you're doing something new, something different, despite it being about the same subject, which is understanding the human figure. And really, it really does help, despite aside from it just being something new, something refreshing. It really does help understand certain things. Like you could see that, for instance, here, the reason why the hips are wider from the exterior is because of the bones that are inside, and that they're basically just resting right on top of it. Like you could feel your own hip bone. So when you're drawing that, you want to include that as a way to demonstrate, like, okay, this is where the hip bone is, as opposed to just making it straight, or not giving it much of a curve. So the more you pay attention to that, like structure underneath, the more your lines start to make sense. It becomes less of a matter of repetition, and that you're drawing over and over again, and you just remember, okay, I just draw this line right here this way. And it becomes more about really understanding the figure and what really creates it, or what really makes it. Same thing for, like, let's say the waist area. This is just to demonstrate you're connecting it. It's disconnected in other parts as a way to demonstrate that really there isn't much there. It's being connected by ligaments and some muscles, but really there are no bones there. So the body naturally curves inwards there because there's no supporting structure underneath. The next supporting structure is the ribs, right? Ribs and the hips. And as you can see, it dips in that area, but expands as it goes up to the ribs, and expands when it goes to the hips, the bony areas of the body. So yeah, you could just understand that that's the reason why. Okay, this is why it dips inwards like that. And when you draw it, you'll realize that I have to give enough space in this area, because sometimes people make the mistake of making the waist area right here too short. They just know that there's supposed to be some space between, let's say, the chest area and the hips, or the groin area. There's supposed to be some space, so they just quickly draw it, but really avoiding the full understanding of it, like avoiding the fact that there are ribs there. So you have to draw according to that. Don't make it too short, because where are the ribs? Where are they going? And just other parts. So this does really have its value. You really do, by drawing out these bones, by drawing out all these different internal parts that you're not going to draw too often, right? Unless you are drawing like a skeleton scenario of some sort. But it's just there to give you a more in-depth reason as to why we draw certain lines, we create certain shadows, and how important of a role they play in the entire human structure. So yeah, that pretty much does it as a quick review over these. I might be uploading these pages. It really depends. I have to ink them first so that you guys can get better quality. So with that said, trying to find once again where I want to continue. It's not going to be any of these pages, as they're already pretty full. So it looks like I'm going to have to finish up this page right here. I'm going to start off, as always, drawing a quick gesture drawing. So once that's there, I'm going to build on top of it using the basic shapes to give it a little bit more groundwork. Keeping it light. Not pressing too hard on the pencil, on the paper. So it's not really important to follow the previous lines to the T. It's just there to make sure that things line up, you know, as you're making or you're fleshing out more of the details on the body, on the face, whatever it is that you're focusing on. They're just there to really give you some sort of groundwork. So if things are a little bit off, it's no big deal. What matters is you correct it as you go, basically. So like you start out with a gesture drawing to create the foundation, right? Like to say, okay, it starts here, it's going to end here. This is how wide it's going to be. This is like the general shape of the body. And then from there, you just incrementally improve the drawing. Giving him a strange haircut for the time being. But really, like, the most important part, I think, or one of the most important parts of drawing out the figure in the beginning is to make sure that you get the angle right as well. Like if you're drawing from reference, you want to teach yourself to actually see the angle of the figure or the subject or whatever it is to make sure that it's leaning in the same direction. And all that really trains your eye. It trains your eye to capture detail, not just capture detail for the sake of capturing it, but what is that detail? You know, like I mentioned, the detail between the nostril and the eye, right? If you capture that detail, the minute important factor, it changes the way you draw faces forever. From that point on, you don't make the mistake or wonder what's wrong with your drawing once you recognize that that is a very important thing to keep in mind. So training your eye to see detail has its benefits. It's not just about impressing yourself that you can see like the most minute things that most people can't. It's not really about that. It's just about building up your understanding better and better. The more detail you realize, the more detail you capture, the more you build your skill at drawing, your ability to draw whatever the subject is. That's the goal of capturing detail. And sometimes people get caught up in the former, where they're just like, I could do really, really detailed things of this, that, and the other. And forgetting what's the purpose of it. It isn't just to be able to do it, it's to understand the subject better. Understanding all those little seeing all those little details, understanding all those details allows you to draw things out correctly. I'm going to draw out another body here. Going to draw more colliding bodies together. As you can see, I'm like drawing through, meaning I'm drawing like on top of this figure right here, just to ensure that whatever subject that I am drawing underneath ends up making proportionate sense. And once I do that, I could define the lines that are overlapping on top of the object or subject underneath. this might be a little too chill, this music. So I'm gonna skip along to the next one. You guys might recognize this little drawing that I'm doing at some point in the future when I'm flipping through the pages. If you haven't guessed it already, it is part of Conan's comic. I just have the figure up here. I figured I'd do like a basic, quick drawing of it. trying to fit in as many figures in there as possible. It's coming close, y'all. It's coming close to pretty much having everything here. Let's just do a quick little review again. Every single page covered as much as possible. With the exception of a few that I've yet to upload for you guys. But yeah, page to page, I'm pretty happy about the sketchbook, I'll be honest. There are other ones that are full, but not to the extent that this one is. And you could feel the same way about yours. You just have to follow along to this. Draw as much in it as possible. Don't waste any paper or space. It's worth the time and the effort for many reasons aside from just feeling like you've completed a sketchbook. More figures overlapping each other. Strange head direction on this one, but I like it. I'm just gonna go with it. The entire pose is very weird, but it's just to demonstrate the flexibility and the agility of the body. Just kind of practicing that. And with that said, y'all, I am gonna end the stream here for tonight when it comes to drawing basics. I'll be back tomorrow for more. So make sure you tune in then, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as always. You can also check out in the Twitch channel, in the video collection section, there is highlights section you guys can check out the video, Patreon page launch, and schedule change for schedule updates, and also more in-depth coverage of the Patreon page. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. If you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button and the like button to help the stream grow. It will be greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys in 5 minutes for coloring comics. So I'll be back to this. I'm going to be doing more of John Buscema's beautiful work. The goal is to finish this comic book completely. So tune in then in 5 minutes for more of that.